Kyoto, 165. The last moment of the tournament. Aiko's wooden sword split apart with a sharp crack. 30 seconds. 7 years of practice erased in an instant. The arena went still. No cheers. No gasps. Just quiet. Her opponent lowered his weapon and smiled. Not wide. Not cruel. Certain. That night, Aiko learned something no scroll ever explains. Discipline does not slowly improve you. It removes you. The legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi did not become immortal by working harder than others. He reached that level by destroying the person he once was. That is the cost no one warns you about. Extreme discipline does not polish your life. It replaces it. By the end of this story, you will understand the 5 rings that divide true warriors from men who only rehearse strength. But first, understand this moment. The crowd of 400 had watched everything. They saw the blade snap. They saw the strike land. They saw Aiko freeze. And then they said nothing. The silence followed her off the platform, heavier than any insult. 7 years of effort gone before she could even think. 30 seconds was all it took. Her opponent's smile stayed behind her eyes as she walked away. Not because he had won, but because he knew she had lost something deeper than a match. That night, Aiko did not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, the moment replayed. The sound of wood breaking, the feeling of the strike, the crowd watching her fail. She lay awake, staring into darkness, realizing something worse than defeat had been exposed. She had trained. She had practiced. She had followed the rules. And still, she had broken. By morning, Aiko understood the truth she had been avoiding. Failure was not her real enemy. Comfort was. What shattered on that platform was not just a weapon. It was the illusion that effort alone was enough. And as the sun rose over Kyoto, something else began to crack. Not her body, not her pride, her understanding of who she was. The lesson waiting ahead was not about skill, strength, or victory. It was about waking up. And it was only beginning. Morning arrived too soon. Aiko had not slept at all. Each time her eyes closed, the same scene returned. The wooden sword breaking in her hands. The strike landing before she could react. 400 people watching as she failed without excuse. The memory did not fade with the night. It pressed harder. Her body reminded her as well. Her ribs ached where the blow had landed after her guard broke. Each breath sent a dull pain through her side. Not serious enough to stop her. Painful enough to make sure she remembered. She dressed slowly, hands shaking as she tied her clothes. 7 years of training lived in those hands. And yet they had failed her when it mattered most. The walk to the dojo felt longer than usual. Each step carried the weight of yesterday. The wooden doors slid open, and the familiar sounds filled the room. Swords cutting the air, feet moving across the floor. Controlled breathing. Then she stepped inside. Conversations stopped. Not sharply, not rudely. They simply faded. No one stared at her. No one mocked her. They looked away instead. Pity hung in the room like smoke. One of the younger students approached her carefully, voice low and unsure. "Aiko, about yesterday." "Don't," she said, sharper than she meant to. The word cut clean. The student stepped back at once. Training resumed around her, louder than before. Wood struck wood. Movement filled the space where words had died. Aiko moved to her usual place near the edge of the room. Not among the advanced students. Not near the center. The corner where effort was safe and expectations stayed low. She picked up a practice sword. It felt solid. Unbroken. Unlike the one from yesterday. Unlike her confidence. She began the basic cuts. Downward. Side. Thrust. Movements she had repeated thousands of times. Her form was correct. Her posture clean. Her balance steady. She had been told this often. Your technique is adequate. Your form is acceptable. Adequate. Acceptable. Average. The words echoed as she trained. Minutes passed. Then hours. Around her, others advanced to partner drills and sparring. She stayed with the basics, searching the repetition for something new. She found nothing, only the hollow sound of effort without result. Then a voice cut through the room. "Aiko, my quarters." Now, every movement stopped. The master never interrupted training, never called a student publicly. All eyes followed her as she crossed the floor, each step heavier than the last. Judgment waited behind that door. The room was bare. Tatami mats. A single scroll on the wall. No weapons. No audience. The door slid shut behind Aiko with a sound that felt final. The master did not invite her to sit. He did not look at her at all. "Hands," he said. She stepped forward and extended them. He took them gently, almost kindly, and turned them over. Calluses traced her palms. Old scars crossed her knuckles, proof of years spent training. He pressed his thumb into one hardened spot near her index finger. She flinched. "You train often," he said. "Not praise. An observation." "Yes," Aiko answered. "Every day. Before dawn. After dusk." He released her hands and finally met her eyes. "You train comfortably." The word landed wrong. She opened her mouth to argue, but he raised one finger. "You sweat," he continued. "You repeat forms. You endure fatigue." He stepped past her, voice calm, precise. "But you never reach the edge." He stopped in front of the scroll. An old family record. Names written carefully in black ink. "Do you know what these names are?" he asked. She shook her head. "Your lineage," he said. "Students before you. Warriors who trained diligently. Who followed instruction. Who never missed a day." He turned back to her. Every one of them was adequate. The silence thickened. "They worked hard," he went on, colder now, "but only within what felt respectable. They stopped when pain became inconvenient. They rested when doubt appeared. They trained to feel worthy, not to be dangerous." Aiko's chest tightened. "They told themselves effort was enough," he said. "That discipline alone would save them." He stepped closer. "Discipline without sacrifice is decoration." The words cut deeper than any strike. "Yesterday," he said, "your weapon broke because your spirit already had." She looked down. "You did not lose because of skill," he continued. "You lost because you chose comfort 1,000 times before that moment." He turned away, walking toward the door. "You now stand where all of them stood," he said, gesturing to the scroll. "Capable, respected, forgettable." His hand rested on the door. "You have two paths." The room felt smaller. "Repeat their life," he said. "Train safely. Grow old explaining why you almost became something." He looked back once. "Or break the pattern." The door slid open. "Choose," he said. The master did not sit back down. Instead, he reached into a wooden chest near the wall and removed an old book. Its cover was cracked. Its pages were worn thin. "This is not a style," he said. "It is a path." He opened the book and placed it on the floor between them. 5 rings, he said. "Not techniques. Not tricks." He tapped the first page. "Lives." Aiko stared at the symbols. They looked simple. They were not. "Most people think discipline is something you add," he said. "More hours. More rules. More effort." He shook his head. "Real discipline replaces you." The room felt colder. "You will not improve your life," he continued. "You will erase it." He walked slowly as he spoke. "Friends will stop calling," he said. "Family will grow quiet around you. People will say you've changed." He stopped. "They will be right." Aiko swallowed. "You will no longer train to feel proud," he said. "You will train even when pride is gone." He closed the book. "This path does not make you admired," he said. "It makes you alone." Silence filled the space. "You will miss weddings," he said. "You will miss comfort. You will miss excuses." He looked at her directly. "And you will stop explaining yourself." Aiko's hands curled into fists. If you step onto this path, he said, there is no balance. There is only commitment. He moved toward the center of the room. Discipline will decide when you eat, he said. When you rest. When you speak. He paused. When you suffer. Her breath felt shallow. Most quit here, he said. They nod. They agree. He shook his head again. But agreement is cheap. He gestured toward the broken weapon resting near the wall. Bring it, he said. Aiko lifted it with both hands. The break was clean. Final. This weapon failed in public, he said. But it failed long before that. He placed a small brazier on the floor and lit it. Comfort weakens steel, he said. And it weakens people faster. He nodded once. Burn it. Aiko hesitated. Then she lowered the weapon into the flame. The wood cracked. The heat rose. Smoke filled the room. She did not look away. When nothing remained but ash, the master closed the book. The first ring begins now, he said. He turned toward the open doorway. Follow, he said. And Aiko stepped forward, leaving the smoke behind. The first instructions sounded simple. Breathe, the master said. Aiko stood alone on the training floor. No weapon. No movement. Count, he added. She inhaled. 1. She exhaled. 2. By 7, her thoughts drifted. She caught herself too late. Start over, the master said without looking up. Her jaw tightened. Again. Inhale. 1. Exhale. 2. Her shoulders ached from standing still. Her legs burned more now than they had in combat. By 5, her mind wandered again. Start over. Time stretched. Breathing became heavy work. Counting felt slippery, like trying to hold water. Every sound grew loud. The creak of wood. The scrape of cloth. Her own pulse. She failed again. And again. Hours passed, though she couldn't be sure. There was no clock. Each failure felt small, but together they crushed her. This is awareness, the master said. Not calm. Not peace. Aiko's chest rose and fell fast now. Awareness is seeing every mistake, he continued, and not looking away. Her thoughts turned sharp. Why is this so hard? Why can't I focus? The questions kept breaking the count. Start over. Her face grew hot. She wanted to move, to strike something, to prove strength. Instead, she stood still. Your body obeys faster than your mind, the master said. That's the problem. Sweat ran down her back. She noticed it. The itch on her arm. The tension in her neck. Each detail pulled at her attention. Observe it, he said. Do not fix it. That made it worse. Her breathing stumbled again. Start over. Anger surfaced. Then embarrassment. Then doubt. She saw them all. She could not stop them. That's Earth, the master said. Solid. Unmoving. Aiko's legs trembled. You don't control your thoughts, he said. You just notice how little control you have. Her breath shook. She failed the count again. Her fists clenched. She wanted to scream. Instead, she whispered the number and began again. 1. 2. Her mind fought back harder now. Memories. Excuses. Images of the tournament. Each one shattered the count. Good, the master said quietly. She looked up, confused. You're finally seeing yourself clearly, he said. Aiko swallowed and returned her eyes to the floor. 1. 2. And for the first time, she understood. This was not training for peace. It was training for truth, and the truth was heavier than any weapon. She breathed again, knowing the next ring would demand more than awareness. The next day began without ceremony. The master placed a sheet of paper on the floor. Right, he said. Aiko knelt, still sore from standing the day before. What? She asked. Your breath, he replied. She looked confused. You counted yesterday, he said. Now you will record. She began again. Inhale. 1. Exhale. 2. This time, each full count went onto the page. 10 breaths. Then silence. She had lost it again. She stared at the paper. Only 10. Her jaw tightened. She started over. By midday, the page was full. Numbers, scratches, restarts. The master picked it up and studied it. "You were aware for 3 minutes," he said. Aiko blinked. "That's not possible," she said. "I stood here all morning." He turned the page toward her. "You stood," he said, "but you weren't present." He pointed at the numbers. "Out of 3 hours," he said, "you were conscious for less than 10%. Her stomach dropped. 90%, he continued. "You were asleep with your eyes open." The words felt heavier than the bruises on her hands. She looked down. Her palms were red and cracked from clenching and releasing all day. Pain pulsed through them. "You didn't notice that either," he said. She flexed her fingers. He was right. The pain had arrived quietly. "So did the thoughts," he said. "So did the fear. So did the excuses." He stepped closer. "This is how most people live," he said. "Reacting, forgetting, drifting." Aiko swallowed. "They think they are choosing," he said, "but they are repeating." He tapped the paper again. "This is your real enemy," he said. "Not opponents. Not failure." He paused. Unconscious time. She felt exposed. Weak in a way she had never felt before. "You trained for years," he said, "but you trained while asleep." She clenched her jaw. "This is beginner's mind," he said. "Not knowing. Not assuming." He took the paper and folded it once. "You start by admitting how little you are here," he said. Aiko nodded slowly. The room felt smaller now. "You will track everything," he said next. "Breath, pain, attention." Her chest tightened. "Not to judge," he added, "but to see." She looked at her hands again. They trembled slightly. "For most people," he said, "this moment is too uncomfortable." He turned away. "They quit before the numbers do the damage." Aiko stayed still. Her breath felt louder now. Slower. He paused at the doorway. "Tomorrow," he said, "we count more than breath." The door slid open. "And you will wish you had stayed asleep." By the 3rd week, Aiko's life had shifted entirely. Every moment was under scrutiny. Breaths counted. Swords swung. Steps walked. Thoughts noticed before they could scatter. She carried a small journal now, pages blank but waiting. Every evening she wrote one truth about herself. No excuses. No philosophy. Just fact. Today, she had noticed impatience during a cut. Yesterday, a fear of failing in front of others. And the day before, shame at wanting comfort more than progress. Her body ached constantly, yet she could not rest fully. Her hands were raw from repeated strikes. Blisters torn open and reformed. Pain had become an honest companion. The journal revealed patterns. Patterns that stripped away illusions. Confidence she thought was real crumbled under the weight of observation. "You're seeing yourself," the master said, appearing without warning. "You are both the observer and the observed." Aiko looked up, tired but attentive. "Yes," she whispered. "I can't stop noticing. Even when I try, I see myself." "Good," he said. "Earth Ring is not about skill. It is about truth." She understood. The first ring did not teach technique. It destroyed her false self. It showed how little she had truly been awake in her life. Every thought now felt measurable. Every emotion catalogued. Every bodily reaction logged. Even small distractions no longer escaped her notice. A fleeting pang of anger. A moment of doubt. A flash of pride. She wrote them all. Each entry a record of failure and awareness intertwined. The more she saw, the more uncomfortable she became. Yet in that discomfort, clarity emerged. Earth Ring was not meant to comfort. It was meant to break her. And through breaking, she learned the shape of reality. The rhythm of her mind. The raw, unflinching presence of truth. "You will be tested soon," the master said, stepping back. "This is your preparation. Aiko nodded, her hands shaking slightly over the journal. She understood what was coming. Not a fight of strength or skill, but a confrontation with herself. Earth Ring had made her both student and subject. The lines between observer and observed blurred. And in that liminal space, she began to exist differently. No longer just training. Now she was training awareness itself. Every moment data, every action a mirror. And as night fell, she closed the journal. Her mind raced. The testing, she knew, would expose not just her skill, but the depth of her awakening. This was no longer about being better than others. It was about being awake within herself. The next day, that test would begin. The following morning, the dojo was silent in a way that made Aiko's skin crawl. The master entered, flanked by a tall stranger. Scarred face, one eye pale and white. Every step deliberate, every movement precise. "This is Renzo," the master said. "He travels through the region. He will test you." Aiko's heartbeat spiked. She noted it. Emotion number 44 for the day. Renzo drew his practice sword. It moved like water, effortless and inevitable. "Defend," the master instructed, "and name every feeling before the strike lands. If you cannot, you are pretending." The first strike came high. Aiko blocked, noting only faint fear. The second came low. Anger at her own slow reaction rose immediately. The third strike came, faint at first, then sharp, hitting her ribs. Anticipation had guided her wrong. She had been predicting instead of observing. Renzo's dead eyes studied her face. "Good," he said with a nod. For 30 minutes, the strikes continued. Fast, slow, unpredictable. Sometimes he paused mid-motion, waiting to see her reaction. Each hit forced her to name the internal state. Doubt, frustration, fear of judgment from watching students. Pride. Every reaction catalogued, observed. No flinching, no ignoring. Pain coursed through her body, but panic did not. Her mind remained sharp, clinical, detached. Observer and observed merged yet remained separate. Finally, Renzo stopped. Breathing heavy, sweat running, but eyes clear. The master stepped forward. "You sought the 5 rings," he said. "Are you serious?" "Yes," Aiko said. "Yes, I want the truth." "Why?" The master pressed. The answer left her lips before she could think. "I thought I knew myself. Now I see I cannot go back to being unconscious." Renzo's expression shifted. Respect, perhaps. Recognition, maybe. The master spoke softly. "This is the real test. Not skill, not timing, but seeing yourself and refusing to look away." Aiko nodded, chest heaving. She felt both exhausted and awake. Every student in the dojo had stopped, watching silently. Questions hovered in their eyes. Why her? Why does the master care? She noted the reactions without judgment. Emotion number 47. Social anxiety, desire for approval. Let it pass, like wind through bamboo. That night, she wrote in her journal, "I started this to be better than others. Now I want only to be awake in my own life." Competition is ego. Awareness is warrior practice. The goal isn't greatness, it is consciousness. Her body still screamed, but her mind was unervingly calm. She could see the gap between herself and her old self. The work had just begun. Earth Ring had stripped her of illusions. The next lessons would show how to move within reality itself. By the 4th week, Aiko felt the old motivations slipping away. She had come to the dojo thinking she wanted to be better than everyone else. Victory, recognition, skill, they had once been her compass. Now, each breath counted, each strike analyzed, stripped those illusions bare. Competition no longer mattered. Her previous goal, the ego-driven pursuit of superiority, died quietly in the background. Pain and discipline had revealed a harsher truth. Training was never about beating others. It was about confronting herself. Every habit she had carried for years, the shortcuts, the distractions, the comfortable repetitions, were exposed. She could no longer hide in them. The dojo had become a mirror she could not ignore. Aiko's mind tracked every microreaction, every flicker of emotion, every tension in her muscles, each moment catalogued. She realized the purpose was not skill, not reputation, not the satisfaction of improvement. It was awareness itself. The moment she truly saw her own unconsciousness, she could not go back. The old self, the one who trained for recognition, who measured worth against others, was gone. Irretrievably gone. Even simple actions revealed the gap. She walked across the dojo and noted the slight tremor in her hands. She adjusted her posture mid-step. Each movement was conscious, every choice deliberate. The students around her still reacted mechanically. Most would never notice how little of their lives were truly present. She had crossed the line. She was no longer the same. The master spoke one evening, quiet, almost to himself. The brain fights awareness. It is designed to keep you comfortable, to hide the truth. Most will never leave that prison. Aiko understood. The fight was internal, neurological. She was rewiring herself, pruning the unconscious patterns that had ruled her for decades. Her old ambitions, the need to compare, to prove, to win, were poison. They had been comforting lies, now extinguished. The new goal was raw and relentless, total awareness. Every breath, every thought, every feeling was data. She became her own observer, her own record keeper. Normal life no longer applied. She was permanently separated from the unconscious world around her. In that sobering realization, a strange clarity emerged. No longer chasing accolades, she only chased presence. The old goal had died. In its place, consciousness ruled. The dojo walls seemed smaller, the air sharper, every sound, every movement a teacher. Aiko breathed deliberately. Awareness had become the only victory worth striving for. And in that victory, the old self was gone forever, leaving space for something new. The next lesson, the master hinted, would teach her why awareness changes the mind itself. How the brain itself can be trained to observe, without pause, without illusion. 3 weeks into Earth Ring, the master summoned Aiko. "You are changing," he said, calm but firm. "Students whisper you are obsessive. They are right, but they do not understand why." He tapped his temple lightly. "Your brain is built to survive, not to see truth. It lies constantly. It tells you you are tired when you are not. It hides discomfort. It avoids awareness." Aiko listened, noting every word. "Awareness is dangerous," the master continued, "because conscious people see gaps. Between stimulus and response. Between what they think they feel and what they actually feel." He slid a small book across the table. Fudasin, The Immovable Mind. Written by Takwon. "Mind must flow like water, but stop for nothing," he read. Earth Ring rewires this through neurology. It quiets the amygdala, strengthens the prefrontal cortex. Patterns from childhood, habits of unconsciousness, they are overwritten. Aiko's fingers hovered over the pages. Her mind absorbed the lesson in silence. "Your old self," the master said softly, "is gone. The Aiko who trained without presence, who counted only repetitions, who let comfort rule, she is dead. What remains is someone in transformation. Neither past nor fully formed future. A constant becoming." She nodded. The truth felt cold but necessary. Her body still tired from repeated practice. Her hands blistered. Her mind alert in every second. "You understand?" the master asked. "Yes," she whispered. "I exist between observer and observed." "Good," he said. "Earth Ring has destroyed illusion. Now you must carry presence into reality itself. Each action measured. Each choice conscious. Your transformation is now total." Aiko exhaled slowly. Her mind raced but held focus. She could feel neural patterns shifting. The awareness gap, the space between reaction and response, had widened and sharpened. The old self, the ego-driven, distracted Aiko, was no longer part of her. Pain and discipline had eradicated it. What remained was a mind capable of total observation, total presence, and total control. The master looked out the window at the courtyard. "Soon, you will demonstrate this to the world," he said. "Not through words, not through bragging, but through action. Through the precision and calm of presence under pressure." Aiko felt anticipation. Her body tensed, not with fear, but with readiness. The next challenge would test everything Earth Ring had taught. Her transformation was no longer private. It would now face the gaze of others. The dojo seemed alive. Every movement outside, every sound of students training was data. She was awake, and soon her presence would prove it. The stage was set for the first public demonstration of true warrior awareness. Week 4 arrived, and with it the announcement, a demonstration for Lord Tada. Aiko's chest tightened. This was no ordinary observer. Lord Tada's decision would determine which dojo received his support. Every student's future depended on performance. The other students performed first. Their movements were precise but mechanical. Perfect form on the outside. Lifeless repetition on the inside. Lord Tada's gaze flicked disinterestedly across them. Then it was Aiko's turn. She stepped forward and bowed deeply. Every muscle tuned, every breath deliberate. She drew her practice sword. The motions were the same as the others. Yet the difference was palpable. She inhabited each strike fully. Every swing flowed seamlessly from intention to action, leaving no space for hesitation. Movement became presence. Mushin, no mind, revealed itself. Thought and action merged into pure expression. Lord Tada leaned forward, intrigued despite himself. Even when slowed deliberately, the quality remained. Every strike alive, every motion present. The difference was not skill, it was total awareness. "Who trained you?" Lord Tada asked. Suspicion and curiosity mingled. "Yamamoto-sensei," she replied. "How long?" 4 weeks of conscious practice, she said. 3 years overall in the dojo, but present only for 4 weeks. Lord Tada studied her. "You appear calm," he said. "Not nervous." "I notice nervousness," Aiko answered, "but I am not controlled by it. It occurs, but I am not it." The Lord's lips twitched into a smile. "Zen monk or warrior?" he asked. "Perhaps both," Aiko said softly. "Perhaps both," he echoed. Her mastery of presence had convinced him. The dojo earned his sponsorship. The master nodded, approving silently. "You have passed Earth Ring. But the next test is harder. Water Ring will teach transformation. You must learn to flow, to adapt, to destroy the rigid self you just built." Aiko exhaled. Her mind and body had changed in ways visible and invisible. Earth Ring had forged awareness. Now Water Ring would teach her what that awareness could do in the chaos of reality. The path continued, and with each step, the distance from her old self grew. Aiko followed Yamamoto-sensei up the misty mountain path to the secluded temple. At the summit, a lone monk awaited them. The next 30 days would be spent in silence beside a stream, observing water and learning its lessons. The first 3 days were still. No speech, no distractions, just the sound of flowing water and their own breath. Aiko struggled at first. Her mind resisted the emptiness. The urge to count every swing, every breath, every movement was strong. She felt lost without the familiar numbers, the metrics she had clung to. On the 3rd day, something shifted. She noticed the water did not fight the rocks. It flowed around them, over them, under them, always moving, never stopping. Persistence, not force, created change. Day 4 brought revelation. She stopped counting altogether. Movements became instinctive, yet fully present. Her body practiced longer without fatigue. The mind's resistance, once the hardest enemy, had melted into effortless attention. Zazen meditation revealed its deeper truth. Hours of uncertainty became liberation. There was no future, no past, only the present, the eternal now. Observer and observed merged. Aiko became aware of awareness itself. The monk's presence was subtle, almost invisible, yet his guidance lingered in every motion, every breath. A thought arose, not hers alone, but shared through silence. This practice is timeless. Not bound to temple walls, not tied to history, but living in anyone willing to walk the path. Aiko understood that the transformation was both inward and eternal. Flow was not passive, it was conscious adaptation. She could move like water in life as in combat, unpredictable, flexible, present. By the second week, her movements had integrated into pure flow. The observer within her guided every action. Counting, tracking, mechanical repetition, they were gone. Every strike, every step, every breath became expression and presence combined. Week 3 brought the first water sparring. She moved around attacks like flowing currents. Strikes passed through empty space, never resisted, always adapting. Control and flexibility coexisted. By week 4, she practiced without alarms, without forcing effort. Presence had become automatic, internalized. Every action a mirror of awareness. Yamamoto-sensei arrived quietly one morning. "You have become water," he said simply. "Flow has replaced rigidity. The mind has merged with the moment." Aiko exhaled, feeling the lesson deep in every fiber of her being. Water Ring had shown her adaptability. Now she was ready for the trials that would demand it, the transformation that fire and void would bring. The next step awaited. The path to true warrior presence was far from over. 6 months had passed since Aiko's practice sword shattered in the tournament. Now she sat alone on the windswept coast, facing the endless ocean. The waves stretched infinitely in every direction. For 3 days she had meditated, simply sitting, observing, breathing. On the 4th day, the terrible truth hit her. The practice would never end. There was no finish line. No moment of rest. No point where she could say, "I have arrived." Her body betrayed her reaction. She fell to her knees and vomited into the sand. Not from sickness, but from the weight of eternity pressing down. She remained there for hours, despair gnawing at her. Every instinct screamed to quit, to return to comfort. But there was nowhere to go back to. The bridge to an easier life had vanished the moment she crossed the threshold of true awareness. Then, slowly, something shifted within her. The despair did not disappear, but she stopped resisting it. She stopped asking when it would get easier. The answer became clear. It does not get easier. You only get stronger. Every effort, every breath, every swing of the sword had to be present, complete, now. The focus was not on tomorrow, not on the past, not on some imagined finish. The only question was, what will I practice today? Every moment, every breath, every movement became the practice itself. She remembered stories of Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japan, who painted daily not to master painting, but because warriors act through practice. The act of doing was the point. The eternal practice itself was the purpose. Aiko rose slowly. The cold water touched her feet. It was uncaring, endless, perfect. She whispered acceptance to herself, to the ocean, to the unseen forces that had guided her. I accept this. The training never ends, and I accept it. In that instant, something inside her shifted. The struggle was no longer a burden. It had become her nature. She was fully present, fully alive in her own existence. The warrior within had emerged completely. When she returned to the dojo, Yamamoto-sensei looked at her quietly. No words were needed. He saw the change in her stance, in her presence, in her mind. From the wall, he selected a real katana and offered it to her. This belonged to your grandfather. He was honorable, brave, but he walked the path asleep. You have walked it awake. That is the difference between a person who practices and a person who is. Aiko accepted the blade, feeling its perfect weight in her hands. Now you live it, the master said. Every day. Earth teaches tracking, water teaches flow, fire teaches transformation, wind teaches humility, and void teaches acceptance. The path never ends. She looked at the steel and saw herself reflected. The master smiled faintly. If you fail, you will fail every day. Warriors are not people who never fail. They are people who fail and continue anyway. Aiko nodded. The lesson was complete. The void had shown her forever, and she had accepted it. The stage was set for inheritance and the continuation of the warrior way. 10 years had passed since the tournament that shattered Aiko's practice sword. She now stood in her own dojo, older, face lined, hands marked from decades of practice. A young student approached, eager, anxious, hungry for guidance. Aiko saw in him the same hunger she had once felt. The delusion that discipline would make life easier. The hope that effort alone would bring greatness. She picked up her grandfather's katana, the same blade Yamamoto-sensei had once given her. Its weight was familiar, perfect, grounding. She handed it to the young student. "This belonged to my grandfather," she said, "but he walked the path asleep. You will walk it awake." The student took it carefully, unsure, reverent. Aiko smiled softly. "You will fail every day. Warriors are not those who avoid failure. They are those who keep going, aware, present, conscious, even when they fail." She handed him a broom. "Begin here." Every student starts with sweeping the dojo, not because the task is small, but because the practice is in the act itself. Presence in sweeping is the same as presence in sword, meditation, or life. The young student began sweeping, his movements hesitant, conscious of each stroke. Aiko watched, seeing in his hands and posture the start of awakening. The circle was complete. She had inherited the path, and now she passed it forward. Every day she practiced. Every day she observed, corrected, guided, and grew alongside her students. Practice itself became the measure of success. Not recognition, not skill, not outcomes, just the act of being present, conscious, and engaged in the moment. The student paused, looking up. "When will I know I have succeeded?" he asked. Aiko smiled, her eyes calm, steady. "When you stop asking. When practice itself becomes success. When you realize there is nowhere to arrive because you are already here, already doing it, already walking the path." The dojo echoed with the sounds of motion. Sweeping, breathing, striking, each act a reminder that the way continues. The student became a master in time. The master remained a student forever. Teaching continued. Practice continued. The path was eternal. And now, anyone listening, anyone ready, could begin their journey here, this moment, just as she once had. Welcome to the path. Begin. Walk with others who choose this way. We are all students together. We are all warriors in training. The circle closed. The lesson passed forward. And the path continues as it always has, as it always will.